Oh, Sanchez has gone from an almighty flip. He got hit by the wall monster. That's where we see him flipping back onto his wheels. That was an incredible flip. As the battle for third is starting to intensify here a little bit between Horton and Pizzacemi. Horton, who has consistently been running the high line in 1 and 2, definitely starting to catch up to Pizzacemi here. And here goes the move now into turn 3. Will Horton hold on to it? He will. Gets the move. Derek Myers, the teammate of Gerald West. Oh, and the 98 of Jerry Glenn's just gone round. I think that was off the bumper of Logan Lansford. And that is going to give the advantage to Gerald West here on the outside line. But can they hold it? That is the question. Did they make their move too soon? Thomas Harmon sitting there just in behind them. He moves up. Derek blocks. He moves down. Derek blocks again. And we have contact. Derek Myers goes round the win. Hello, everyone, and welcome, once it loads, to the Legacy Atlanta Motor Speedway, and welcome to the real Racetracks of Atlanta 150 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. This is broadcasted race number 201, so we're already on our way to 500, which is pretty exciting. As we can see, there's already some cars on track. Christian Budd, but no one's surprised, is holding onto the top spot. There's Ray Zerkut. Great to see Ray out there having a squirt. Corey Cook in the 61. And I think my trading paints is playing up a little bit, so let me just fix that up real quick. Trading paints hasn't been working to optimal standards lately. See, there's cars getting onto the track. Mark Pentakoff, the 7 of Kyle Kraus. They're getting ready for the pit party. Behind them is Travis Massier in the 13. Corey Cook in the 61. And he's got PJ O'Leary in front of him, Thad Faylor behind. Christian Budd currently sitting on top with a 30.688. TJ Crampton currently in second. And he's just over a tenth behind. 0.102 behind the time set by Christian Budd. Thomas Harmon's third, Joe Slammer fourth. We've got Scott Rickett in the 50, he's in fifth. Travis Massier P6, Kyle Kraus 7th. Jonathan Hernandez is 8th, Thad Paylor in 9th, and PJ O'Leary currently sitting in the 10th position. Here we go for the pit party. Wheel spin is one thing to keep an eye on in the starts and restarts at this track. Very easy to get the car sideways on acceleration. Let's look at Christian Budd threading the needle 3 wide. Storming his way up the middle of the field there. Everyone enters into turn 3 now. And there's Scott Rickett on screen in the 50. Just behind him is Christian Budd. Christian, who hasn't actually passed anyone since he went 3 wide the lap previous. Just kind of settling into the groove in front of them. They're going 2 and 3 wide. Oh, and the 13, Travis Massier, got loose. And he has pounded that inside wall, you can tell, because the left front's all crumpled in. Oh, that Faylor has also gone around. Oh, Frank. Nowhere to go. And gives Thad the biggest snog on the nose. Thad goes flipping down the track. There's a 9 of Joe Slammer. Yeah, trading paints doesn't seem to be working properly at the minute. Try and get that rectified. Currently looking at the white car of the 72 TJ Crampton. Everyone's in a white car. We're trying to get the right paints on the right cars. There goes Scott Rickard around. His trading paint's just, it's not having the greatest of days today. No one's in their proper paints by the looks of things. Oh, except for Joe Slammer, he's in the right paint. And that looks like a paint that I would see on the Corey Cook car. And I think paints are starting to come in good now. That's not normally the paint that we see on the 72 of Crampton. Normally he has a nice red scheme. So I'll just wait for trading paints to stop playing silly buggers. But TJ Crampton's still trying to beat that time set by Christian Budd. He's a little bit off it right now, so they're probably just doing the long run, getting some time in, seeing what the tyre wear is going to be like. Well, this is the kind of setup that Christian Budd really likes. There's the right paint for TJ. And I just saw a name that I haven't seen in a donkey's age in the pits. And that is the 145, or is it the 105? The 105 of Logan Lansford. We haven't seen Logan in a very long time. Currently down in 21st position with a 31.483. Logan starts coming onto the track. Someone's made a mistake along the back straight there at some point. We didn't see who it was, but there was a lot of smoke to evidence it. PJ O'Leary in the 29 car. Currently have 22 cars signed up for this race. Strength of field is sitting at a 2.9k. Top 10 largely unchanged. And this is the second race in the chase for the championship. I'm trying to bring up the points real quick. Christian Budd leading by 16 points over Thomas Harmon. Jonathan Hernandez sitting in third. Corey Cook is equal third. James Watson in fifth. He'll be the first car out if we were to go straight to the championship race from here. But there's only 5 points separating Watson from Hernandez and Cook. Scott Rickard just 1 point back from Watson. Chris Champeau 4 points back from Rickard. Ken Campbell 1 point back from Champeau. And TJ Crampton is only 2 points back from Campbell. Andrew Griesbaum, the only one with a significant challenge ahead of him. Currently 29 points off of Crampton in 10th. But he's 59 points off the leader, Christian Budd. 32 points off of being in the top 4. So he really needs a good run in this one to try and get up there and be a part of the top 4 for the championship race. We're looking at Thad Baylor. He's right in there behind Logan Lansford. Logan's just trying to get a decent time on the board. Oh, and Crampton has gone around. Oh, that hit was so big. All 4 wheels came off the ground. Oh, and Logan's had an issue coming out of turn 4 as he hit a stricken car there on the infield. Didn't quite see who the stricken car was. And I think he actually spun into his own box. Pretty sure that's Logan's box there. There's Thad Faylor. He's right on the tail of Corey Cook. There's only a few minutes left in practice here. In fact, just over 2.5 minutes left. Oh no, just under 2.5 minutes actually. We're almost at 2 minutes to go. So some guys will be trying to come out to do a qualifying simulation run. There's some guys that are still running since the pit party. They're trying to work on gathering tyre data as Corey, Thad, and Christian all come into practice of pit entry. Pit entry very important if we get a long green flag run. Logan did spin into his own pit box. How about that? There's Jonas Marquez coming back out onto the track. And at this rate, he's only going to get 1 flying lap. Maybe 2 if he's lucky. Oh yeah, he'll just squeeze 2 in. Thirty-second lap times around the 1.5 mile old Atlanta Speedway here. But with that, we are going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we will have the results of qualifying and the start of the race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the real Racetracks of Atlanta 150. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Racing action coming up shortly. Welcome back to the real racetrack of Atlanta 150 here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Qualifying is complete, and you can see the front row there. The 17 of Christian Budd sitting on pole with a 30.709, and on his outside will be TJ Crampton, who was exactly 1/10 slower than Christian Budd. Starting out of P3 will be the 9 of Joe Slama, and on his outside will be the 38 of Thomas Harmon. And we will have the 15, the 19, the 15 of Ken Campbell out of P5, and P6 will be the 61 of Corey Cook. P7 will be the 50 of Scott Rickard, and on his outside will be the 21 of Thad Faylor. P9 will be the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez, and P10, the 13 of Travis Massier. Then we're going to have PJ O'Leary in 11th, Frank Isaacson 12th, Matt Sasola in 13th, Kyle Kraus 14th, James Watson 15th, Logan Lansford making his return in 16th. He's the first car to not qualify. So James Watson, the last possible Hard Charger Award winner. Jonas Marquez in 17th, Mark Penscup 18th, Ryan McLeod 19th, Robert Holder in 20th. And we've got Ray Zerkart and Andrew Perkins at the back in 21st and 22nd. But I don't think they are actually available to make the call, as Ryan McLeod isn't even on the track in 19th. But 22 drivers to take on the racing action with the 23 people who at least signed up for this session. Strength of field is a 29:30. As the cars start to roll away, just the one pace lap here at Old Atlanta. Old Atlanta with the quiet cameras. Yeah, a little bit louder there in turn 2, but for the most part, we're pretty quiet around here. All right, here we go. Race number 2 of the chase. The pace car is going to make the hard left turn into the pit lane. And then we've got 100 laps of the old, bumpy, slick Atlanta Motor Speedway. First starters on green. All the restarts on the leader. In the restart zone, we're off and racing. Oh, and already the 72 of TJ Crampton got loose on the start, went into the fence. This is what I'm talking about in practice. Wheel spin on starts and restarts. Very important to take note of. And Crampton has fallen all the way just about to the back of the field. As we get back up towards the mid-packs here. Looking at Travis Massier in the 13. And he is coming under pressure from PJ O'Leary. Not going to quite get there yet, though. These guys battling over the 9th position. And apparently my positional tracker wasn't working there for a second. Christian Budd already pulled out a big lead. He's out to 0.8 of a second already. Here is the battle for second and beyond. And it looks like Scott Rickard in the 50 car trying to make a move to the inside of Ken Campbell. That is for the 4th position. And Ken Campbell has turned that move against him into an attack for 3rd around the outside of Joe Slama. So Campbell already making moves up into 3rd. And now he's putting all the pressure onto the 38 of Thomas Harmon, while Scott Rickard takes the inside right there, 3 wide there in turns 1 and 2. Corey Cook was trying to make a magical move around the outside, and he's done so. And he has snuck his way up into 4th, and now he's going to the inside of Campbell for 3rd. Close quarters racing here for the top half dozen or so. And Ken Campbell has just powered his way around the outside of Thomas Harmon to take over the 2nd position. See, Corey Cook in the 61 is trying to emulate the move made by Ken Campbell there by sticking to the outside of Thomas Harmon. And it looks like along the back straight, he's going to get there. It looks like the top part of the field here has started to calm down a little bit as everyone has gone into tyre conservation mode. There's Jonathan Hernandez in the 2. He's currently P8. But O'Leary and Massey are still arguing over that 9th position. Massey on the outside just defending. Saw in the background there as well, Matt Sasola in the 93. Getting pretty racy behind the 24 of Frank Isaacson. Ooh, the 39, James Watson, he got a little bit loose there. Just in front of Frank Isaacson, made Isaacson check up a little bit. Sasola powering to the outside of Isaacson. And he will move his way up. I saw the 21 of Thad Faylor is now rolling that high line as well. He's trying to get around Hernandez, couldn't quite get there. Hernandez with the superior grip down low. And here comes Travis Massia now trying to make a move to the inside of Faylor. This is the battle for 8th between those two drivers. Baylor just had it at the line. But Massia has proven the inside's worth, and he has now moved his way up into the 8th position. O'Leary following Massia through. And now Baylor has been demoted down to 10th. Looking up a little bit, I can see another battle forming between the 9 and the 2. Jonathan Hernandez and Joe Slammer. Scott Rickard's in the 50. He's in front of Hernandez. Corey Cook still trying to make some headway on the 15 of Ken Campbell. I think he wants to try and pull away from the 38 of Thomas Harmon here a little bit, but it's easier said than done. As Cook actually got a little bit loose there coming out of turn 4. That's allowed the 38 of Harmon to get back up on his inside. The outside groove was really good there in the early laps while everyone was on fresh tyres, but now that everyone's got a few laps in the books, it's starting to look like it's not working out so well as Cook, the Cookie Monster himself, just tapped the wall there coming into turn 3. It diminished his momentum there slightly, and now he's under attack from Scott Rickard. And at the line, Rickard is in P4. So the outside was good while the tyres were young and fresh and full of optimism. But now the tyres are starting to get a bit older, they're getting cranky, and they don't like it. Ken Campbell would have been looking in his mirror there going, yes, battle more, my minions, yes. So he could pull away from them and maybe try and bridge this 1 second gap to Christian Budd, who's leading the way. And honestly, I thought maybe they would have been pulling, Christian Budd would have been pulling a bigger gap than this. I guess he's also in tyre conservation mode at the minute. Scott Rickard trying to look racy there. It looks like he's not really making any headway at all. There's a two of Jonathan Hernandez. He's back in P6. He would love to get a top 5 in this race. Currently tied in points for third. And he's tied with Corey Cook, who is up there, just ahead of him. So whoever finishes higher out of Cook and Hernandez here will hold the advantage. Ken Campbell now under pressure from Thomas Harmon. And the outside line doesn't seem to be the greatest, but it's still just working for the 15 of Ken Campbell. He's managing to hold his own up there. You can see the two lines have definitely evened out a little bit, but he got super loose coming out of turn 4 just about. Wagged the tail all the way down into the right front of Thomas Harmon there. It's all about which line you choose to take. Side by side now they go down the back straight, and Thomas Harmon got a little bit loose that time. He lost that little bit of an advantage that he gained over Ken Campbell. Christian Budd will be seeing this in his mirror and absolutely licking his lips, especially if he's just trying to sit there and look after his tyres. I think these guys racing side by side is the biggest thing he can have working for him at the moment. And they've been side by side for a couple of laps now. It's probably just going to continue until one of them can finally find the advantage. But I would raise a question on who's looking after their tyres out of these two. Because both of them driving really hard to try and get this second place. I mean, for Campbell, it's all about maintaining. And for Harmon, it's all about trying to officiate that overtake. I'm not sure which one will be using their tyres a little bit more out of those two. The Highline generally is a little bit easier on tyres, especially that right front, which you have to take a lot of care of at this track. But Campbell still holding on really well to this second position. And finally Thomas Harmon slots in behind him. In fact, he moves to the Highline now, trying to get that momentum advantage, but he's under pressure from Scott Rickard in the 50. Corey Cook is also right up in there, trying to make something happen. And just like that, Thomas Harmon has dropped from third all the way down to fifth. Corey Cook holding a big advantage over Jonathan Hernandez right now, but he goes super wide in turns 1 and 2. Just about falls prey to the 50 of Scott Rickard. Here goes the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez now. He's trying to make a move on Thomas Harmon. Thomas pinching him down for all that he's worth. Look at the gap between them, absolutely nothing. As they move onto the front straight, who's going to have it at the line? I think Harmon just had him at the line there. But now as they go into turns 1 and 2, Hernandez with the much lower line is going to take the advantage here. Although look at the momentum that Thomas Harmon has just gathered running right up near the fence. Not a line that I thought we'd see here too much, but he's definitely making it work for him. Oh, as Hernandez just about tickles that left rear quarter panel on the Harmon car. And Harmon immediately going into attack once more as he's gone to the inside of Scott Rickard. See a few different lines being taken here by the drivers. Ken Campbell, I just noticed, is running a little bit higher on entry and diamonding the exit slightly. Gives him a better run off the corner and onto the straight. A little bit more momentum too. But definitely leaves the door open on corner entry as Rickard has now been dispatched by Thomas Harmon. And the two of Jonathan Hernandez is trying to get into that as well. Corey Cook all over the tail of Ken Campbell. And Hernandez has taken the 5th position over Rickard. Just saw on my ticker in the back, Kyle Kraus has just gotten around Travis Massia. That's for 13. And the 72 of TJ Crampton still in the pits. We absolutely better with that tire spin. Oh, it's the 61, the Cookie Monster. He's gotten into the fence. When he came off the fence was when Harmon was just catching up to him. So just about some big drama there. He's managed to keep it going. And he's still maintaining 4th position right now. Ken Campbell now has a 0.6 of a second gap over Thomas Harmon in that 38 car. Because of the mistake from Corey Cook. Cook is all over the place. He's loose and tight simultaneously. Now here comes the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez trying to make the move to his inside. Well, let's see what he can do. And he's not going to get there. Look at the momentum gain that Corey Cook just had coming out of turn 4. That was a huge run. So he's figured something out there on that outside line. As long as he can keep it out of the fence, he'll definitely be one to watch as this race continues. It's going to be really hard for the 2 of Hernandez to try and make an overtake here. Especially with Cook running that extremely high line up near the fence. See, it's still advantage Cookie Monster. As we're 27 laps into this race now, I think this is the perfect time for us to go to a commercial break. So stay tuned. When we come back, there will be hopefully some green flag pit stops happening shortly. Make sure you guys stay tuned. More action from the real racetrack of Atlanta 150 coming up shortly. Welcome back to the real racetrack of Atlanta 150 here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway on the Yosi Sim commentator channel for the Output Racing League. And you're looking at the back of our leader, Christian Budd. This is what 1.3 seconds looks like. as Matt Sassola has entered the pits. Go back to a different camera angle, please. There's a 61 of Corey Cook. He has gotten around Thomas Harmon now. He's back into third. Trying to catch up to the back of the 15 of Ken Campbell. As I said, he's really got this outside line working well for him. Just not sure how it's going for him as far as tyre wear is concerned. Running a much lower line in 3 and 4. In fact, he's running a almost a diamond line into 3 and 4. Starts about mid-track and then cuts right down to the apex at the back of the corner. Trying to get his momentum up for the tri-oval. Green flag pit stops are well and truly underway. The 7 of Kyle Kraus has just come into the pits. And this might end up being another 2-stop kind of a race with the speed and the momentum these guys are carrying. We'll have to keep an eye on the pit entry there to see if anyone else comes in at any point. Kyle Kraus is always one of those who likes to get the early pit stop when it comes to a 2-stop kind of a race. Wants those fresher tyres earlier to build up a big gap. And it looks like Thomas Harmon starting to fall by the wayside here, as he's just been overtaken by both Joe Slama and Jonathan Hernandez. Scott Rickard trying to get a piece of this as well. Definitely seeing what a multi-groove kind of a track Old Atlanta is. It's always been a multi-groove track. It takes the right kind of people to run it. As I see the 5 of Mark Pentacup has come into the pits now. Kyle Kraus, he didn't pit for tyres apparently. He's gone in for some damage, as he's been in the pits for a couple of laps now. There's the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez still sitting there in 5th. One thing he really needs to do is just try and get around Corey Cook. Corey Cook similarly wants to try and maintain position in front of Hernandez, because they're battling over 3rd in the championship. There's James Watson, he's down in 9th. Where Cook and Hernandez battling over 3rd in the championship. They're currently tied on points. And at this point, they do both make it into the championship 4. It's just a matter of who's going to be ranked higher for it. So the 4 that we need to keep an eye on is Bud, Harmon, Hernandez, and Cook. But everyone down to 9th, in with a really good chance, although TJ Crampton, I'm pretty sure, is OUT out of this race. So that just leaves the top 8 to really try and battle it out for these final 4 spots, although Chris Champeau isn't here either, so he's going to lose out on some really big points here. And we'll probably see him drop from 7th down to 8th. Ken Campbell, who was in 8th, he's only about 11 points off of the top 4 at the moment. So this P2 for him will really boost him up in the standings quite a bit, as Ken Campbell has now just come into the pits. Dad Faylor has also made his stop. So we'll see a flurry of activity here shortly in the pit lane, I do imagine. Christian Budd has either taken it really easy or the rest of the pack has caught up to him quite a bit. There's only half a second now between Budd and Cook. There is Thad Faylor as he's making his way around the lead lap drivers. And at some point, Thad has been in the fence. You can see the telltale damage on his right front of a wall contact as Jonathan Hernandez and James Watson both in the pits. I can see the 9 of Joe Slama has now come into the pits. Both Frank Isaacson and Jonas Marquez have come into the pits. So the pit stop flurry is continuing. It sounds like some of these drivers are clutching it into the corner. But some of these guys really trying to fuel save quite heavily. Maybe trying to extend this to a one stop. There is a big advantage to be had in making this a one-stop race. The one thing that'll really ruin their chances is if we do get a caution, as the 61 of Corey Cook has now come into the pits, pitting out of second. This now leaves a 3-second gap between Christian Budd and Scott Rickard in the 50. There's a two of Jonathan Hernandez as he's making his way through our lead lap drivers. We currently have 9 cars on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down is Jonathan Hernandez. Now make that 8 cars on the lead lap as Corey Cook just got lapped while he was in the pits. I think these guys are seriously trying to extend this into a one-stop race. See how slow they're going. And I swear they're clutching it on entry to the corners. They're trying to extend this as far as they can. There's Matt Sasola. He's already made his stop. He's down in 12th. He's battling it out with the 39er, James Watson there. It looks like Sasola are actually carrying some damage as well from an earlier incident with the fence. Let's get a just bringing up standings softwares. So we only have 2 DNFs from this race. Robert Holder, who did a start and park. In fact, he did 10 laps before he came in. And TJ Crampton. Both of those guys OUT out of this race. Kyle Kraus has been in the pits for just about 500 seconds. So that's just a little bit under 10 minutes. In fact, that's just over 8 minutes. So we'll see if he comes out here shortly. 29 in the 105. So PJ O'Leary and Logan Lansford have come into the pits. Oh, Thad Failor. He was letting Joe Slama and Mark Pentacuff through and just slammed the fence there in turn 3, inexplicably. Ken Campbell has worked his way back into third. There's only a 15-second gap between himself and Christian Budd, although Christian Budd has now just pitted. But Christian Budd's going to be pretty far behind the 8 ball here compared to the top guys. He'll have the fresher tyres right now. And I think Rickard and Harmon should be coming into the pits this time, as this is going to be the halfway point. There goes Rickard into the pits. Harmon stays out onto the track. He's trying to push it a little bit further. As we have reached the halfway point now. And where has Christian Budd come out? There he is. And he is currently down in P12. And he is almost a lap down. He's 28 seconds off the lead as Thomas Harmon, just a couple of cars behind him. But with these much fresher tyres, he should start making some inroads and catch that up a little bit. Thomas Harmon has now come into the pits. And this will gift the lead to the 15 of Ken Campbell. And at the line, I'm pretty sure Ken Campbell was leading it. Maybe not. It was just Thomas Harmon at the line. As I can see, the 13 of Travis Masia is in for a stop. So your order currently is Campbell, Hernandez, Slama, Cook, Failor, Watson, Isaacson, Marquez, Budd, and Sassola as your top 10. Thomas Harmon all the way down in the 14th position. And Harmon is the last car on the lead lap officially. Mark Pentacuff, the first car, 1 lap down. Travis Masia, I'm assuming, has come in to get some damage fixed. He's gone 2 laps down. There's Christian Budd working his way through the field. He's already made up to P7. But these guys currently half a lap behind the leader of Ken Campbell. Now we know that Budd, Rickard, and Harmon all trying to do the one stop. The best thing Ken Campbell can do is just absolutely push it. Not make a mistake, but push it to get the most out of his fuel before he has to come into pit again. That failure there in the 21 car in P6, looking very out of sorts. That car is very loose on exit. There's James Watson in the 39. Jonathan Hernandez is holding the advantage over Corey Cook at the moment in that battle for third in the championship. And with how tight the top 4 is, if Budd and Harmon finish this far down, then he could even possibly take over the lead of the championship. So too could Ken Campbell leading the way. Just have to wait and see how things play out. 14 seconds between Christian Budd and Ken Campbell. Budd has been systematically bringing that gap down. Well, I'm assuming he's also looking after his tyres and fuel. There's Scott Rickard and Logan Lansford. Rickard still on the fuel-saving train. Once he's saved enough, he'll start pushing it a little bit harder. These guys battling over the 12th position. Kyle Kraus has been in the pits for 14.5 minutes, so the damage that he's got on that automobile, obviously pretty high. What I think we're going to do is we're going to go to a commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll have probably some more green flag stops, and then we'll make the charge to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More action will be coming up shortly here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome back to the Real Racetracks of Atlanta 150 here on the OZSIM Commentator channel for the Output Racing League here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is our leader, Ken Campbell. He currently has a 3-second gap over Jonathan Hernandez as they come across the line to start lap 62. 61 laps complete in this race. And Christian Budd is down in P6. And he has stopped gaining on our leader. So maybe the tyres have equalized out a bit. Maybe this is all a part of the fuel saving strategy. All I know is this is going to set up an excellent finish, considering most of the field need to make a second stop. And those guys that do need to make a second stop will not be worried at all about fuel consumption or tyre wear. So it's a 15-second gap between Campbell and Budd, as I said, and that is about half a lap. Having a look at the track map, it is exactly half a lap between the two drivers. It takes about 40 seconds to come down the pit lane, take 4 tyres and fuel, and get back out of the pit lane. And then roughly about another 10-ish seconds, maybe 15, to get the car up to speed. So we'll probably see Campbell be half a lap behind Christian Budd by the time he makes his second stop. But Campbell will be on fresh tyres and he won't have to conserve. Whereas Christian Budd will be on older tyres, much older tyres, and he'll have to still be in fuel conservation mode because he wouldn't want to push it too hard, just in case we get a late caution and a green-white checkered. I also assume if that was the case, then we'll probably see a flurry of pit stops under that caution. There's the 50 of Scott Rickard. He's currently in P10. He just let Thomas Harmon by. Himself and Harmon also trying to make that one stop work. And they're both about 20 seconds behind the leader, Ken Campbell. 5 of Mark Pentacup. He's currently a lap down. And he's not the first car lap down. Matt Sassola and Thad Faylor have come into the pits. And they are officially first cars a lap down. But they'll change here shortly. So the second round of green flag stops is well and truly underway for most drivers. Ken Campbell stopped on lap 40. So we'll probably see him come in around lap 70-ish. As the 9 of Joe Slama has come into the pits. The undercut has definitely worked out for a few people here. Jonathan Hernandez was one who performed the undercut. Ken Campbell has a 4-second gap over Hernandez right now, so Hernandez's tires feeling a little bit secondhand. We'll probably see him in very shortly. Christian Budd now 17 seconds back from Ken Campbell. So Campbell starting to burn the wick a little bit, trying to extend this gap to Christian Budd to make the gap that he has to catch back up after this pit stop a little bit smaller. And as I said, Campbell not one to have to worry about fuel consumption here. He's got 2/3 of a lap of a lead over Christian Budd at the moment. As here comes Harmon and Rickard. Harmon's just gotten around Frank and Jonas. And he's right on the tail of Christian Budd, who has been falling into their lap here a little bit. I think he might have pushed a little bit too hard early in the stint, as Hernandez and Cook are both in. Here comes the 15 of Ken Campbell in this time. So we'll see where he comes out. As I said, 2/3 of the lap in the lead he was over these guys, who do not have to make another stop, but they will be slow in comparison to him. And Christian Budd conceding position to the 38 of Thomas Harmon. So Thomas has been saving a little bit better than Christian Budd by the looks of things, so he's able to push a little bit harder at the moment. The 29 of PJ O'Leary is in. Ken Campbell's just coming out of the pits now. And he's going to be about half a lap behind at the moment. He still has to get up to speed, so he'll be just under 2/3 of a lap behind. In fact, no, he's just over half a lap behind. He's already back up to speed now, as James Watson officially takes over the lead. He's 3.6 seconds in front of Harmon. And that gap is coming down a little bit, but it's not coming down too terribly quickly. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on Ken Campbell and what he can do. He's currently with Joe Slama, and they are 19 seconds off the lead, which means they are 16 seconds off of Thomas Harmon. Both of them on fairly fresh tyres too, as Jonas Marquez is in the pits. I just saw that. I probably mentioned it before, but I forgot. But if these guys can pull off the fuel-saving race of the century, then these three are effectively the leaders in this race. And James Watson does have to pit. He last pitted lap 41. And he'll have to pit soon because the undercut from everyone else is going to be playing against him here. Ken Campbell has gotten around Joe Slama. And Campbell has the fastest lap of the race, a 31.079. It's not quite qualifying pace, but it's definitely pretty quick. We're also waiting on Isaacson and Lansford to make their next stops. Looks like Campbell's in with some lap traffic there, as he's got Sola and Marquez with him. And James Watson has just made his pit stop, which has gifted the lead to Thomas Harmon now. And there's only 10 seconds separating Campbell from Harmon. Just under 25 laps to go. In fact, 24 as they reach the line. And there is less than 10 seconds separating Ken Campbell from this group. As there goes Dad Faylor. He's on fresher tyres than these guys. And he's starting to blast his way around them. He'll get his lap back once he gets around them. As he is the first car a lap down in 10th. That hasn't been having the greatest of races. You can see he's still got the evidence of that damage on his right front from the couple of times he's slammed into the fence. And Ken Campbell has just gotten around Frank Isaacson, who's just come into the pits. 7.5 seconds separating Campbell from Harmon. Logan's Lansford is the next one on the list for Campbell to get around. And Campbell just about on the same straightaway as our leaders right now. It's Thomas Harmon pulling away from Christian Budd. But that gap between himself and Campbell is coming down very, very quickly. Campbell gained 1.5 seconds the last lap. Logan Lansford is in the pits now. And Campbell gained 1.7 seconds last lap on our leading trio. And he is officially in P4 right now. 5.5 second gap. There is Ken Campbell. He's got Jonas Marquez right behind him, who made a stop the lap afterwards. He's gained 1.4 seconds on Scott Rickard. He's now only 3.5 seconds behind Scott, 3.9 behind Thomas. He is gaining very quickly on our leading trio. He can see them visibly on track in front of him. So now it becomes a little bit of dangling carrot syndrome, as he's got 1.3 seconds gained on our leading trio once more. And honestly, having 64 Jonas Marquez there and behind him will also be helping. The draft is beneficial to two cars. Helps the car in front and it helps the car behind. Jonas, who is the first car 1 lap down. There's now the lap car of Mark Pentacuff right there on the apron as he's coming out of the pits. 1.5 seconds between Rickard and Campbell. He only gained a second on them last lap, so time's starting to even out a bit. The tyres equalise. I think our top 3 have started to up the pace a little bit. But now Campbell is in their draft. It's less than a second between Campbell and Rickard. 1.1 seconds to Harmon. And Christian Budd all over the tail of Harmon as well. And you know what? Let's jump into the gyro cam. If I can find it. There it is. There's a gyro cam. We see him immediately pull to the outside of Scott Rickard here. And that is now Ken Campbell up into third. He only has 2 more cars to pass before he retakes the lead. there he goes to the outside. Will he be able to do it? He's gotten to the outside of Bud. Now he just needs to take Harmon. Harmon, who thought about just letting him go there for a second, makes it a little bit harder for him. But look at the speed difference. That's what fresher tyres can do for you, as now officially Ken Campbell has retaken the lead. And he runs Harmon a little bit low there. And now that has put him into battle with the 17 of Christian Budd. There's going to be 15 laps to go at the line. But with 15 to go, the 15 of Ken Campbell leading the way. And he is just going to start extending this gap exponentially over the next few laps. The strategy turned out to be a premium here for Ken Campbell. I think after last week, when Harmon almost made the one-stop work, it definitely planted a mind into Team Harmon about what they were going to do this week. But it just didn't quite work out for them, as Ken Campbell is one tenacious little driver. And Campbell actually doesn't even have the fastest lap of the race anymore. I wonder who holds that now. Someone deeper in the field has taken the fastest lap away. But let's get an overview of where we're at positional-wise for everyone. So it's Campbell, Harmon, Budd, Rickard, Slama, Hernandez, Cook, Watson, and Baylor as your top 9 on the lead lap. Jonas Marquez in 10th, who is just in front of our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place drivers. As Budd has now fallen back to 4th off of the podium. But Jonas Marquez in 10th is the first car lap down. And it's Lansford, Isaacson, and Sasola Masia. Oh, there's one car there slowing down on the back straight. I didn't see who that was. It's the 15. 15 of Ken Campbell. I don't know what's happened to him here. Everything looks normal as he's come out of turn 4. Oh no, that's a hardware failure, if I ever seen it. His wheel is locked up, the brakes immediately applied. Oh, that is so unfortunate. He was looking for the win. Oh no. I'm so gutted about that. Giving him the big raps for it to unfold like that. That is absolutely horrifying. The safety car has been called as we have someone stopped on the front straight. Don't tell me. Oh no, not again. Don't tell me it's happened to him again on the front straight. Nope, this time he just got loose. Oh, and he got a tap from Slama. We have our first caution of the race. Frank Isaacson will be the lucky dog wave around. Thomas Harmon leading the way. Oh, Ken Campbell tried to get going there, but it's like he is he's done. He's disgusted. He's out of here. And that was going to be a huge win for the 15 of Campbell there. All to come undone due to a wheel disconnection mid-race. Oh, that's horrible. That is not the way you want to lose a race. Oh, what happened to the 5 of Mark Pentacuff there? He just turned dead right in the corner and into the fence. Our leaders have all come down in the pits. This is a big benefit for Harmon, Rickard, and Budd, as they'll all get some fresh tyres and fuel up for the end of the race here. They wouldn't need much fuel because I assume they've been saving this whole time. And the caution laps definitely help. As I said, Frank Isaacson will be the lucky dog wave around, so he gets a big benefit out of that as well. Sosola and Masia might go for the wave around here, just so they can be on the lead lap in case something else happens. PJ O'Leary in this little group as well, and if I was him, I would take the wave around with them. Mark Pentecoff, who is 2 laps down, if he stays out, but he'll probably want to come in and get that damage fixed. As Scott Rickard has come out of the pits first. So it's Rickard, Harmon, Bud, Slama, Hernandez, Cook, Watson, Baylor, Marquez, Lansford, and then it'll be Frank Isaacson who's coming in to get his fresh tyres now. The 5 of Mark Pentecoff has pitted, so he'll get some fresh tyres and get some fixing done on his car, which means Sosola, Masia and O'Leary will get the wave around to get themselves, well, for Sosola and Masia, they'll be back on the lead lap, and O'Leary will be the first car 1 lap down. We'll have 13 cars on the lead lap when we get the restart here. Scott Rickard will be leading away from Harmon and Bud, and by all appearances, he's going to take the inside line here. If I was him, I'd think about taking the outside and getting the better jump, just to try and balk Christian Budd a little bit. The 2 of Jonathan Hernandez. He's running around on the apron. I think he might have been looking at something, or and we just had a celebrity pop into the live Twitch chat. Michael Sturgill. It's great to see him. Wish he was still with us racing. Maybe in the future we'll see him make a comeback. He's one of the faster drivers in the league. He was one that could challenge Christian Budd a bit. But here we go for the restart. We're going to have 6 laps to go. As you can see, the 50 of Scott Rickard has chosen the inside line. We have 13 cars on the lead lap. A couple of cars waiting for disaster to befall the front pack here, which would put us into overtime, but we'll have to wait and see. Remember, wheel spin is a big issue here at Old Atlanta, and the restart will be on the leader inside of the restart zone. We're off and racing, and look at him wag that tail along the tri-oval there as Rickard takes the start and takes the lead. He's got a little bit of a gap over Christian Budd already. Jonathan Hernandez got a great start, which means that Thomas Harmon in the 38 had the worst start of all as he's fallen back to 4th. But look at the battle for the lead. Christian Budd now goes to the inside of Scott Rickard, trying to take the lead away. Rickard knows that outside line on fresh tyres is where the advantage is at, and he's going to take that momentum and hold on to the lead. 5 laps to go now, and it all comes down to this. Who is going to take out the victory here? See, Christian Budd has adjusted his line. He's running the higher line now. He wants that momentum. He wants to get the pass. He wants to take the lead. He doesn't want anyone else to win in this league. He wants to have all the victories for himself. He had to give it away a couple of times this season. We'll wait and see if he can hold on to it. 4 laps to go now. And Rickard is under all kinds of pressure. Side by side, they're going to go into turns 1 and 2 once more. And Bud tried to push him up a little bit higher there on entry. didn't quite work. As now they go down the back straight, drag racing, the momentum with the 50 of Rickard, but the tenacity. Words are hard, and I should not try and say difficult ones. But side by side they go, inches between them as they come out of turn 4 at the line. Who's going to lead the way? And it's still going to be Scott Rickard at the line. But Christian Budd definitely putting up one hell of a fight right now to try and take the lead away. And he's got it here. He's going to do the slide job. Rickard trying to do the undercut, the over-under. And it's not going to work. He got a little bit loose coming out too, but he does still have the momentum advantage over the 17 of Budd. You see, Budd really made entry hard for Rickard when they were side by side the other way around, but Rickard giving all the room in the world to Christian Budd that time. And Budd with 2 to go will officially be leading the way. Budd has taken the most laps for the lead here. So he'll get the most laps bonus point as we're coming to the white flag now. If we get a caution now, this could change the complete scope of the race once more. As they come out of turn 4, it's going to be white flag, last lap, last chance to win it or wear it. And there is no chance we're going to get a caution from here, as the checkered flag will end the race. If we get a crash, so be it. And Rickard under pressure from the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez now. Those 2 are teammates, I do believe, as we go through turns 3 and 4. The winner of the real racetracks of Atlanta 150 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to be the 17 of Christian Budd. Scott Rickard will come home second. Jonathan Hernandez will hold on to third. Thomas Harmon dropping to P4 there. And fifth was the Cookie Monster himself, Corey Cook. James Watson has put in a phenomenal effort. He's come home in P6 there. He's +9 for the race, which I'm pretty sure makes him the Hard Charger Award winner. We'll confirm that in a little bit before the driver interviews, and we'll get back to you on it. But here is your winner at Atlanta, the second race in the chase for the championship, the 17 of Christian Budd, as he immediately starts burning it down. You guys can barely hear it because this camera angle is really quiet. All the camera angles here at Old Atlanta are really quiet. But with that, we are going to go to a commercial break now. And when we come back, we will have driver interviews. So make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, guys, it is now time for driver interviews. And as always, we kick things off with our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award winner. And today's Hard Charger started in 15th and finished in P6 for a +9 race. It is, of course, the 39 of Mr. James Watson. James, you did a thing.
I did a thing. I did a thing 2 weeks in a row. I'm surprised. I did not expect to be here. I don't know what to do next.
You don't know what to do with your hands. Was saying just before we come back here, but it's a great race from you there, mate. Obviously, pit strategy was a big deal for most people. Almost perfectly pulled off there by Ken Campbell. But what was it like for you trying to just figure out how to drive these cars with them being so sketchy around this track and trying to execute the perfect pit strategy for yourself?
Yeah, that's kind of the name of the game this season. With how many times we're having to pit, is trying to figure out the overcut and which one works. And so it worked pretty well for me at the first stint, waiting and pitting on lap 40. I was able to make some ground and be in good position. I was going to do the same thing, and then I saw some of the other guys around me pit, so I ended up having to bite the bullet and pit like 5 laps earlier than what I wanted to. But it ended up being the right uh, strategy, that because I didn't lose as much time to them as I would have with had I stuck with pitting at lap 80, and plus I believe the caution happened not far from that, so I might have been stuck a lap down. So yeah, thank God the audible worked, and then I was able to hang on to it on that last run. The car did not want to do anything, man. If I didn't know any better, I swore it didn't change tires because I had like no front grip, and it was really disappointing. Because if it was handling like it was for me earlier in the race, I think I might have been able to get up and try to snag a top five. But I'm thrilled with six. Backing into a P7 and a P6 in the first two races of the playoffs at two tracks. So I was very much not expecting to do anything of note at two setups that I did not have the skill to deal with. So yeah, we take those. I am thrilled with that. Thank God for all that.
Yeah, it's definitely a good result for you as far as the championship is concerned. Although, in saying that, I think you actually drop one to six looking at the results and looking at where everyone else is around you. Because Scott Rickard had a good race, and everyone else that's above you in the championship at the moment has finished in front of you. So it's a tight battle there, especially for the top four. And one more week to do it, and just one more good result, and you're just about a shoo-in, mate.
We'll see. I'm gonna need some help because I'm gonna need a lot of help, honestly, because there is a lot of guys ahead of me and near me that are just a lot more talented than I am. And while Darlington is one of my better mile and a halves, I'm still gonna need some help if I'm gonna make it into the final four again. So I'm just happy to be as close to it as I am. Like, I was expecting to go into the final four in like P8, so the fact that I have like a not insignificant chance of actually making it in, yeah, I'm good with that. That was a lot more than I was expecting, really.
And Darlington in itself, a bit of a wild card track. The egg shape of it, the just the nature of the track in itself, can throw a few curveballs as we head into the final race of the season shortly.
Yeah, you never really know what to expect from there. It's narrow, it's tight, it's not easy to save tires. So I'm hoping for something. My very first top five in the league ever came at Darlington. So um, I I'm cautiously optimistic, but again, I'm not really putting a whole lot of stock into it because again, I'm gonna need a lot of breaks to really be up there and battling.
All right, James. Before we let you go here tonight, mate, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, I gotta thank everyone at Team Watson Racing Setups. Use code WATSPIN39 for 10% off at checkout. Gotta thank Chris Graham of the National Racing Network for always sticking with us. ZS Designs and Dizzy V Designs for put my paint schemes together. Martin Sports Sim Racing Apparel and Boomer Button Boxes.
All right, James. Thank you very much for coming out. Congratulations on taking home the Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award, and we look forward to seeing what we can do next week when we head to the Lady in Black.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, guys. That was our Hard Charger Award winner there, presented by Autism Awareness and P6. Not a bad day in the office for James Watson. Coming up next, we are going to have our third place getter. And today's third place getter, you'll need to settle yourself down with a cup of coffee or tea and have the blanket ready because this might be a long one, of course. It is the
Hey,
two
we got more.
of
We got more
Jonathan
sponsors on this
Hernandez.
time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got more sponsors to thank this time. But Jonathan, great race out there tonight. P3 in a difficult car. Pit strategy coming into it, a late caution, and a decent points haul here for you at the end of the season as well. Just before we head into the final race of the first round of playoffs.
Yeah. Hold on. Can we cuss on here or no? Do I have to pay a fine for that?
Oh, there might be. We'll see in post editing.
I'm fucking pumped, Corey. We got third here. Yeah, it's overall the race was smooth, calm for our end. We rode where we needed to, not in the position early on that we needed to because we're battling so many people for that fourth spot for the championship. So yeah, it was. I was just content with running where I was. I think before that caution, and I think I was gonna end up like sixth, maybe. I was fine with that. At the time, Ken is who I was battling, so was Cookie, and you know, first off, of course, I feel bad for Ken. I think he said he had a wheel malfunction or something, and that's what caused him to wreck it. But I hate it for him. Nobody wants to be in a position where you're about to get a win, especially where it's as important as this one. Only something else to happen that's out of your hands. So I feel for him, but for us, we had a great race. We executed exactly what we needed to. The stops were perfect. If I could thank the pit crews, I can because they were running at least low 13-second stops, which were key in the green. Um, but yeah, I mean, other than that, we ran a smooth race. Got by that caution with Ken and Joe, and wound up in a perfect spot on the restart to net a third.
I can't remember. Did you lead a lap at all in this race?
No, I was trying
All
to,
right.
but Ken stayed out like 2 laps extra on that final stop than I wanted to.
All right, so
So
having a look at the
yeah,
points then and having a look at where everyone else has finished, I think you're still going to be in P3, just 1 point behind Thomas Harmon because he did indeed lead a lap. And even though he finished behind you, you guys kind of equalize out there on that. So it's going to be very close between you guys for P2. But the important thing is you got one over on Corey Cook. You guys are no longer going to be tied. And you have that little bit of a buffer to him. But Scott Rickard finishing up there in P2. I'm pretty sure he jumps James Watson here, and he's going to be knocking on the door of that top four here as well.
yeah, it's just that's what that's what's gonna make next week or much more interesting. It's a handful of guys for that final spot. We had pretty much a couple of them eliminated tonight. Um, with his either no shows or with what happened with TJ. He wrecked on initial green. and pretty much cost him the rest of the race. So, um, it's just that's like I said, it's gonna make next week very important. Darlington's hard track as it is now. You got to throw in the factor of that's the final spot, for everybody to make it in. One, speeding penalty on a green, one wreck could ruin it. You know, you say we got a tiny buffer here, but that tiny buffer go away real quick. So
And indeed it
it's
can,
just
and Darlington is also a bit of a wild card kind of a track as well. It's a tight pit lane entry, a very very difficult pit lane entry. The exit, it can be very slick, and just the racetrack itself can throw up so many different things at any point in time. One of the hardest tracks on the schedule. I would even argue it's harder than something like Martinsville. What's the general feeling like for you as we head into Darlington to decide who our top four is going to be for the championship?
I, I think it's just being in that right spot, the right place. You know, you could qualify up front. You could say qualifying matters here, but sorry, not here at Darlington. Qualifying matters at Darlington. However, a wreck could happen at any point. The track is so narrow, especially out of two, that one slip, like Christian could slip up out of turn two, and he could be the pole sitter and it cost, a bunch of people's races. So I think that's the key of making the right decisions, being smart about it. I gotta, go with the mindset of, okay, not every position, is that crucial to me to where I should wreck the car to get it. So I think, it's survival. We've had decent runs there in the past, but we also had terrible runs. I think the last time I ran there, I got in a wreck or something. So it's just, all about being at the right spot at the right time and trying to seal the deal for that final spot for Homestead.
All right, now it's time for you to get the list out, and everyone, make sure you have about 30 minutes spare for this. Who do you have to thank for helping you out here tonight, Jonathan?
We did get the list. I got sent over a little PDF for all the new sponsors to put on the car. I didn't finish putting all of them because I was on a time crunch and I forgot about it. So we got some of them on. First off, thank you to you for broadcasting. I know last week we had the 200th broadcast, so big congrats to that. Um, Darren, Brian, you, Kyle, Travis, running this thing. We had a lot of fun. Uh, it's a fun league. You know, the car's challenging. I mean, every car we race is challenging because of the competition we have. So thank y'all. Gotta thank the family, of course. My girlfriend, my lovely girlfriend, my little passenger princess whenever we drive. Um, and then here we go with the long list, the team. Everyone at my main team, Triad Racing, everybody over there with our sponsors, StentAnalyzer.com, Susan Media, RPM Motorsports, and then of course we merged with the Legacy Academy with the guys at Legacy Esports. So now with them on a car too, with Champion, Curb Records, Blackstone Management, Shareliners.com, Gale Force. Uh, Roadrunner, I think, is the other one, and Cincinnati, of course, and Reaper Speed Labs. That's their setup shop thing, but that's for another time. Um, and just everybody else, Thank y'all. Try to end the season on a positive note. We'll try to go get them a home sit, be there in the spot for the championship. If not, we'll try to go out in a blaze of glory next week.
All right, and now the championship is over. But thank you very much for coming out, Jonathan. Congratulations on coming home P3 here, and we look forward to seeing what you can do next week when we go to Darlington.
Thank you, Corey.
All right, guys, that was our third place getter, and definitely one of the contenders for the top four, and we should look forward to seeing what he can do next week. Jonathan Hernandez. Coming up next, we are going to have our second place getter, and tonight's second place goes to the ever likable number 50 of Scott Rickard. Scott, great race for you out there tonight, mate. You were up towards the front for the most part, and that late caution definitely helped you when it came to trying to get that podium.
Yeah, I just like say Bud ruins a lot of fun things because he has to win too much. I re- I feel like he's become Max in this league to me. He's just like you can't let us have any fun. Just win. Yeah, it was
Definitely
a
looked
nice
like
fun.
you were
It was a
having
fun race.
quite a bit of fun out there, especially with the one-stop strategy. What was the thinking behind going for the one-stop and trying to hang out there with Bud and Harmon?
I just do something different than most people. I've seen it work in his car sometimes, and sometimes it hasn't. I figure it's close enough. I didn't save too much fuel that it would actually be worth it. I think it was probably at least a top five, which is probably where I would have finished if I didn't do it anyway.
Now, it definitely, in theory, works a lot more often than it doesn't. It definitely could have worked in theory last week, but this week it looked like it was a little bit of a tougher chance, especially with the pace that Ken Campbell had on board.
Yeah, I was watching him come. I'm like, yep, there's no chance of winning now because I kept watching him slowly gain in every lap. As soon as he got to, I'm like, yep, we're not winning this way.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, Scott. We're going to be going to Darlington. So, what's the feeling like for you as we end out the first round of the playoffs here at Darlington, in which I do believe you have just made yourself a contender for the top four?
I love Darlington. I'll probably hit the wall at least once just because it's Darlington, and I usually do at least once there. So we'll see. Hopefully top five again.
Yeah, that's a wall, Scott. Jonathan Hernandez, 2023. Uh,
Yep,
um, but
we
before
use
we,
next week.
yeah, that I'm expecting many Darlington stripes next week. Actually, um, just quickly, how much do you think that's going to affect the car without actually experiencing it yet?
But to hit the wall, I don't.
Yeah.
You're so close to it most of the time. I don't think it'll hurt it too bad. If you're probably getting in it because your right rear taps it first, so you're not going to be too far. At least when I usually hit it, it's not far. I'm not far enough away in the first place to hurt the car.
All right. Now, before we let you go here tonight, Scott, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Everybody on the team and my dog.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Congratulations on coming home P2. And as I said, I'm pretty sure you are in and around fifth place at the moment in the title fight, maybe even fourth, with Corey Cook finishing down in P5 here tonight.
We'll see. I don't like to play this playoff system. Never have, never probably will. But with Bud winning everything anyway, it gives us all a chance. Gives us at
Exactly.
least a chance.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out, Scott. And we look forward to seeing what you can do next week at Darlington.
Yep, we'll see you.
All right, guys, that was the 50 of Scott Rickard coming in there at P2 and a much shorter interview than what Jonathan Hernandez was. But coming up next, we have tonight's winner, and he's only winner by a freak stroke of luck, but a winner nonetheless. Of course, it is the 17 of Christian Budd, who has extended his lead in the championship here in this little 3-round stretch before the final race. Christian, interesting race out there for you here tonight. Trying to one stop on for size. What was it like trying to save enough fuel and tires to be fast, but still make it over the half race distance?
I hated it, and I really regret doing that. But fortunately, it worked out in the end. And unfortunately for Ken, didn't really want to see that happen to him. He had earned that, and then has a mechanical or something happen. So that sucks. But yeah, the strategy just based on what Thomas did last week, I thought that it might work here, and it did not. It was not going to work. We weren't going to win, but now we know for next time.
All right, now let's look at the race as a whole. Kind of setup that really speaks to your driving style out there. A little bit loose, then it gets tight and it can become snappy loose. What was it like out there for you, just trying to balance everything with the way that the car felt on the track?
Well, I mean, during the race until the very end, I didn't really get to push it. So, just in practice, it was super tight. Honestly, it just was. It was. Um, Probably one of the worst we've run all year, unfortunately. I thought we've had quite a few good ones, but this was definitely not one of them. Um, so that was kind of a shame. And then this track used to be one of my favorites, but they updated the grip at some point and they really nerfed the bottom, and the bottom just became almost useless. But then you had to drive around down there to save tire, so it kind of ends up with this weird thing where you know you just run around the bottom saving tire. Um, if you get a chance to race at the end like we did, in a short shootout, then you kind of can run the top. But whoever got the top and really got it to work was just going to win. So fortunately, at the end, with Scott, and we got to have a really good battle, so that was fun. But overall, they wasn't too impressed with the setup.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week, Christian. We're going to be going to Darlington. So what's this feeling like for you as we try and tame the Lady in Black?
Yeah, it's pretty fun with these, as I remember. So it's one that the setup probably won't be as big a deal. Typically, that's more of a case of just not getting in the wall. This car really likes to catch the wall with that right rear, so um, you don't really run as close to it as you would in some of the other cars, like maybe the B car, just because it just grabs you so easy. Um, but it's pretty fun. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if it's as much of a tire management track as this one is. I feel like it's not. The tires matter, but you don't have to super save like you do here. Um, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I expect it to be like quite a bit of green flag running, so probably be a bit of strategy involved, but mostly just keep the car clean.
All right, Christian, before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, just everybody who showed up tonight. Shout out to Ken. Ken should have won the race, so feel bad for him. And shout out to Scott for racing really hard and fun at the end. That was a lot of fun. And then of course you up in the booth doing all the broadcasting for us, and the whole league just for putting us on. It's a lot of fun. I always tell people, if they're looking for something to do late at night, this is a good league to join. It's just people are friendly and they do the best they can to help each other out and everything. So definitely, I don't know when the new season's starting up, and I don't know what car they're going to use, but when that comes, it's always a good time.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming out, Christian. Congratulations on taking home another win, and we look forward to seeing what we can do next week at Darlington.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was Christian Budd, tonight's winner, and that is also the end of our driver interviews. So make sure you guys come back here next week, same bat time, same bat channel, as we go and tackle Darlington. But until then, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator. We'll see you guys at Darlington.